Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA Veteran Todd Allee. Todd, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing good. Todd, you got a fight coming up at Impact Fight League 45. You're fighting Brett Rogers. I'm curious, were you training for another fight when you got the call to step in on short notice?
No, I was not. Not at all. Actually, that was the thing about it. That was one of my apprehensions is I had been training for a fight, and you know how big a part of MMA conditioning is. So, in being the strength and conditioning coach, and that's my primary role on top of being a owner and a assistant coach, is my strength and conditioning role at the gym. So, I'm in great shape for a 38-year-old man, but I'm not in fight shape. That's the unfortunate thing. So, the last 2 weeks, when I got the call last Saturday, so all last week, all I did was 2 days a week, or 2 times a day, blow my lungs out, trying to get myself in that kind of condition.
You said you weren't training for a fight. Did it have anything to do with fighting Brett Rogers? Because, he's got a pretty big name, and in Michigan, there's not a whole lot of cards. There's not a whole lot of opportunity for pro guys. Was it just the name that enticed you to take the fight?
Exactly. That's the only reason, to be honest with you. It was just the name. I've been in the game now doing jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and MMA. Started as an amateur about 8.5 years ago. I had a big layoff. I hadn't fought for 4 years, and then I fought last year, February 18th at the Palace, and that was my first fight in 4 years, and then I haven't fought since then. I've had 2 opportunities since then, and for some reason they've canceled out on me, so I got the call last Saturday night, hey, we need a fight for Brett Rogers. How you feeling? I said, let's do it. I thought about it for about an hour. I made the phone call, and I talked to my coaches, and basically just the last 2 weeks, it's just game plan and blow the lungs out. That's pretty much it. The reason I was down is because of the big name of Brett Rogers, though. That was the thing that enticed me. So
it's kind of a win-win situation for you, because if you go in there and win, yeah, you won, great job. If you lose, you weren't supposed to win. Is that another reason? Because you're coming in on short notice, and Brett Rogers, he's fought a lot of tough guys from, Fedor Emelianenko to Alistair Overeem to Andrei Arlovsky, all these tough guys. Is that another reason that enticed you to take the fight?
Obviously, Michael, you know the sport well. Absolutely. That is another reason, the 3 big reasons, and you hit it right there. It's, I have a win-win situation. I'm taking a fight against the top 15 guy in the world. Maybe 2 years ago he was top 10 in the world. He's fought all the big name guys. He's fought all over the world. He's, with the Strikeforce heavyweight, contender. He's everywhere, Elite XC. And I'm nobody from Michigan. So for me, it's like I take the fight on 2 weeks' notice. Nobody gives me a shot. Heck, if I go out and put on a good performance, it adds a lot of credibility to Michigan MMA. If I win the fight, I'm a freaking superhero. And if I lose, it's just another ... Brett Rogers was coming in for a tune-up fight before he goes and, fights overseas. So, like you said, a win-win. And it gives the school, it gets Mass Gym a lot of recognition. We've had a lot of press. I've done lots of interviews for all the, Detroit News, Free Press, Channel 7, just all kinds of stuff. So it's worked out well.
Where do you see the fight playing out? Do you see a lot of stand-up? Are you going to try to take it to the ground? I know you can't speak a whole lot about your game plan, but where do you see the fight playing out?
To be 100,000, I think we're just, my last fight that I had last year, even coming off a 4-year break, I was a huge favorite to win that fight. I'm assistant trainer at Mass Gym, own Mass Gym. I help coach all our amateur guys. We got a really popular group of guys that fight out of there. And I was fighting a 0-0 guy who I knew was a really solid fighter. I'd seen him fight amateur a bunch of times, and but there was all the pressure was on me. I had to perform. I had to do well. So I had a lot of anxiety, and when you have that adrenaline dump going into a fight, it makes it difficult. So going into this fight on the short notice, I'm just going in and we game plan each position. When I'm here, I do this. When I'm here, I do that. I see it come out, tapping gloves, showing some respect, and then just starting off and exchanging a couple blows, stand up. The cage is small. It's a 22-foot cage. He's used to being in a bigger cage, so I think we'll end up on the fence a little bit and work the clinch game, and then kind of go from there. Either we break off and hit, or we go to the ground, or it's just one of those things. Game plan each position, and that's what I've been working on a lot. So
now, your last fight, I was there, front row, watching the fights. You won the fight, but after it came back, it was a draw at the beginning. They brought you back in and announced you as the winner. Was it kind of an awkward situation for you because you had some people who were like, well, you know, you only won because of, you know, the judges got it wrong.
Yeah.
How awkward?
It was very, you know, number one, I hadn't fought in 4 years. You know, I was very excited to fight at the Palace Auburn Hills in front of my home crowd, in front of, you know, all the students from Mass Gym, friends, family, and everything else. I felt that I definitely won the fight. I had won the first 2 rounds. I've rewatched the fight, you know, a dozen times. And, I mean, scoring it as objectively as possible. I mean, I won the first 2 rounds, no doubt. Third round, I lost. So it was a 29-28 unanimous decision, what it should have been. And to find out that they just had a miscount, that somebody, you know, it's 10-9, 9-10, 10-9. It's, you know, it was frustrating to learn that was the case. And then they had already announced the other fight, so it's not like they could bring me right back in and adjust the air until after the next fight, which did. It kind of tainted the win a little bit. You know, Aaron was very gracious about it. He told me, he goes, hey, you won the fight, there's no doubt about it. And he was good about it, so I had no problem from him or his coach, Isaiah. They were really good about it. But yeah, it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, to be honest with you. And, you know, it happens, whatever. It was just unfortunate. It was not my fight, and that's it.
What exactly is your MMA record? Because I've seen a couple things online. What exactly is your official MMA record?
I have 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 no contest. The 1 no contest at one time was written up as a win, and then it was changed to a no contest. That was when I fought Houston Alexander. So I fought him in his hometown of Omaha, Nebraska, and I had beat him. I had a triangle choke on him, and he illegally escaped with knees to my ear. He kind of climbed the fence and hit me in the ear a couple times. I released the triangle choke, and then he hit me again in the ear with a knee, and at the time, he got disqualified for escaping a submission hold with an illegal technique. I won the purse money. I had won the fight. 2 or 3 days later, the promoter had called me and said, hey, Houston's going to drop to 205 and go in the UFC. Can we list this as a no contest instead of a disqualification? And at the time, I was like, yeah, it's no problem. I was doing a favor for the promoter. I had already been paid. It wasn't a big deal to me because nobody knew Houston Alexander. Little did I know, 2 months later, he knocks out Jardine in the UFC.
Right.
2 months later, he knocks out Alessia Sakara. I looked like a superstar because a couple of my guys from the team went with me to Omaha, so they saw me. So they're like, dude, Todd beat this guy handily. He had him in a triangle choke, was elbowing him. The guy illegally escaped. But anyway, at this point, it's no big deal. So my official record, I have 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 no contest on my record. So if I lose this fight, I'm 2-2, and if I win it, I'm 3-1. And either way, I have 2 big name guys, Houston Alexander and Brett Rogers, that I can say I fought. You know, I didn't fight some podunk guy from, you know, my backyard. I fought, you know, world-class guys. So it really adds to the credentials.
What is your plan after this fight? Is your plan to be a lot more active? What exactly are you looking for?
You know, I would like to do maybe a couple more fights, just local. I really enjoy fighting locally. You know, I like to have a little bit more time to prepare, but, you know, that's not how it always goes. I would like to pick up maybe 1 or 2 more fights, maybe 3 more, just depending how things go. You know, right now I'm helping, I coach with Big Don Richard and Nate T at Mass Gym. You know, I'm the co-owner and operator over there. So we have 30 amateurs and 7 other pros that train them that are active. So it keeps me with a busy schedule. I also do personal training, and I teach a bunch of classes, and I assist teach other classes. So my schedule is full. So my goal here in the next couple of years before I'm 40, I'd like to get maybe a couple more fights in locally, and that's it. So
I read the little press release that the Donofrio people, they released maybe a week or so ago, and he said that 50-50 of the crowd will be against you and 50-50 will be for you. Why did you say that? Why do you feel that some of the crowd will hate you? Why do you feel some of the crowd will love you?
Well, you know, I think that, you know, I think a lot of people will be there to support me and to support our team, and I'm sure we'll have at least half the crowd like that. But, you know, I'm sure there's people that would be there that wouldn't mind seeing me get my butt kicked. You know, we have a very successful, like I said, amateur team, pro team, and, you know, when you're at the top, there's only one place to go sometimes. So I think there would be a few people there that wouldn't mind seeing me get my butt kicked. But, you know, all in all, I think we have a great reputation in the state. You know, Big Don's done a great job, you know, building a relationship with a lot of other people, and, you know, I've done that through our relationship with Mr. Donofrio and Joe Battaglia from the TXC, and, you know, so all in all, I think it's going to be a great event. I'm really looking forward to the fight, actually. I have no anxiety going into it, no fear, no anything. I'm going into it right now just trying to blow my lungs out and game plan and go out there and put on my best performance. don't cower under and just turn away and quit, that's the only time that you look bad. So like I said, I've never done that. I'm really excited about this fight.
How do you predict the fight will go? Do you see yourself, grinding out a decision? Do you see possibly clipping him? What exactly do you predict will happen in the fight?
Well, with my 3 chances of winning, those are 2 of them. I can either grind out a win, get it on the ground, or keep it on the fence, control him on the fence, control him on the ground, hold top position, like I did on my last fight, where I controlled the top position for 2 of the rounds, for sure. Or I clip him, hit him with overhand right, kind of watched a lot of the Fedor fight where, Fedor was definitely losing the first round, and then clipped him with that overhand right, 2 minutes into the second round. That's a possibility. Or catch a submission. Those would be my 3 ways of obviously winning the fight. And I don't have anything hard and fast. What I learned a long time ago is you can't go in with a game plan, because once you get hit, game plans go right out the window. It's just kind of, okay, I'm in this position, here's what I do. I'm in this position, here's what I do. Okay, don't do that, do this, and you kind of work it position to position and go from there.
Todd, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank? Anything you want to say to the fans?
I really want to thank everybody for Michigan MMA. I've had a lot of Facebook compliments. A lot of people come on there that were really appreciative of me taking the fight. Number one, this fight was turned down by one guy. He had accepted it, and then for some reason it didn't work out for him, and he pulled out. And then there were a couple other people who turned down the fight locally that I thought would take it, because these guys were younger guys who had quite a few fights that are looking to make MMA careers. So this, I thought, would be a great opportunity for them. They appreciate me stepping up to take the fight, so we have a big name guy like this, for a Michigan fight. Like you said, that doesn't happen every day. I sponsor, of course, Mass Gym. Big Don Richard is my coach, and then we have Mally's Sports Bar and Carrera's Italian Restaurant are a couple sponsors of mine. They've helped me out for my other fights, and like I said, this coming at such short notice, I didn't have time to get T-shirts made up and do a bunch of other things, but I had my old ones out, and I said I would dig them out for these guys, and they were really appreciative, and so that's been about it. So,
Todd, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck against Brett Rogers at Impact Fight League 45.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate the time, sir.